Ladies and gentlemen, the Shelley Winter Show, Valentine's weekend. So I got to tell you, I found my choice. Ladies, wait, Jennifer, let's go to Jennifer because she's been holding. Jennifer, I apologize, but I found my choice, Jennifer. I appreciate you listening, but
Sure.
thank you very much, my sister, and God bless you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Lisa and Marietta. Lisa?
Yes, sir.
Lisa with the lovely voice. I found my choice. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening to the Shelley Winter Show, and I love you very much, and happy Valentine's Day.
You too, Shelley. Always listening.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. So I got to say, she doesn't want to come on the air, all right? But I talked to another Lisa. She just called in. I read that this is the caption. Listen to this. She works at the Cheetah. So I picked up the call. She said, I can't go on the air, but I'm off, and I'd like to go with you to the concert. And I was like, where do you work again? And she said, the Cheetah. I said, we're in. We're in. Hold on, my sister. I'll get your number before we go to break. Don't go anywhere. Ladies, I have found my date for to go see. I love doing talk radio. I just absolutely love it. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to talk about this. This is really something interesting. I have been holding back on bringing this up. And I don't know why. I have to bring it up tonight. So the numbers have come out for everyone, fundraising numbers. But in particular, I was paying attention to the Secretary of State's race. And as you know, my good friend Kelvin is running for Secretary of State. That's who I like. That's who I'm going to be voting for Secretary of State. And so I was looking at the fundraising numbers, and Kelvin has more cash on hand than anybody else, which is a good thing, right? It's a good thing. And so I went down a list, and people are raising money. People have a good amount of money, but he's got the most cash on hand. And I got down to Vernon Jones, and Vernon Jones has the least amount of money, cash on hand, right? And I thought to myself, Shelley, you need to bring this up tonight. The problem, I like Vernon. Vernon's a friend of mine. I know Vernon. I've known Vernon for years, right? The problem that I have with Vernon in this race, and this is pure speculation on my part, but it makes more and more sense as time goes on, okay? Vernon ran for governor back in a primary. Kemp was there. Vernon ran for governor. It was a contest. The incumbent was already there. He was running for a second term. He had been successful in the first term, and Vernon threw his hat in the ring for governor. Lost, just like everybody else, David Perdue and everyone else. And Brian Kemp is going on to be a great, as Bill Crane said, a wonderful two-term governor. Managed this state, probably one of the best governors we've had. Okay, hands down. You can yell at him about 2020 election, all that. That's just one issue. He's done a wonderful job, okay? But Vernon ran for a seat when the incumbent was running for re-election, which is tough to do. And he was running against David Perdue, well-funded and everything else. Brian Kemp won. Then Vernon ran for the open congressional seat in the 10th, and he ran against Mike Collins. Mike Collins, as you know, won that race, but Mike Collins had been a longtime resident of the 10th. He'd hired tons of truck drivers. He had a base. He's well known. His father was a congressman. Like, he had everything, but you ran against Mike Collins as well. Both those seats that Vernon ran for are both open now. Mike Collins is running for Senate, so his 10th congressional seat it's open. When I say open, I mean there's no incumbent. It's a free seat for whoever wins. You're not running against an incumbent. Why wouldn't Vernon run for the 10th congressional district again now that it's an open seat? You just ran. You didn't get blown out. Why not run where you ran before? The governor's seat, it's a wide open seat. Why not run for governor again? Why run for Secretary of State? And why announce only after Kelvin King got in? I'm speculating here, but I truly believe that some real fancy thinking consultant came up with the idea to convince Vernon Jones to run for Secretary of State to blunt Calvin King. Now, it doesn't work because voters don't think like this, particularly on our side of the fence. But to some young consultant or some young Secretary of State guy running who's a former senator or state rep, those people would convince themselves that the only Republicans that would vote for Calvin King is voting for the black guy, even though Republicans don't think like that. And so they say, well, let's get another black guy to run, and they'll divide that one black guy's, meaning Calvin King's, support. But Republicans don't think like that. But to fancy-thinking consultants, they do. They will minimize the intelligence of Republican voters because they all think they're smarter than you guys. All consultants think they're smarter than the voters. That's the hustle that they play. And I'm convinced more and more that Vernon has been put up the run for Secretary of State to blunt Calvin King. I'm really convinced of that because you ran for Congress. It's now an open seat. You're not running there. You ran for governor. It's now an open seat. You're not running there. You're running in a crowded field for Secretary of State. Only reason you would be doing that is because someone came to you and said, run for this seat. Because they believe in their heads, because they think so little of the voters, they think that the voters, by having another black guy on a Republican primary, it hurts the black guy, meaning Calvin King. But it's not going to work. And if Vernon is listening, Vernon, be honest. Drop out of this race. Don't stay in this race. There's no path. Now, the path is you could think that you're going to get the Trump vote, but Calvin's got that locked up. Fleming doesn't have the Trump vote. Fleming's part of the Kemp crowd. I love Brian Kemp, but to MAGA, that's persona non grata. Vernon, drop out of this race. Be your own man. Don't follow what they're telling you to do. It's my advice. Shelley Winter Show. We'll be right back.